Good evening. All right. You know what they say, tired, but do it anyways, right? So, here to do post market analysis. Um, and I love recording these because it helps boost my confidence, but also you get to see the growth, and it also mm, kind of just documents how reliable the strategy is that we're using for IWM. Um, I did make a small 30% um, average. I am learning to hold my winners longer. So let's just run it off the top. Usually I'll have a box at the top here. I'm just gonna make a new one. Let's just make a new box. But essentially, let me just run it down because I'm really tired. Okay. So the 322 strat did not go off today. We didn't have to worry about when I was looking at the chart, it was very clean, right? So we let's see, where is price right now? 253. When we looked at price, we didn't have to worry about any liquidity indicators. So we were above this last Friday. I didn't want to touch it because we were in this liquidity zone and the contracts were getting chopped. I looked at them um, up until 8:30 and then later into the day. Um, and I know that this is important not just for me, but for those who are going to be coming behind me that might want to fight me and be like, oh, well, we can take a move or the setup is there. Now, if we're in this liquidity zone, just chill and, wait for a day like today. So another key thing too was off of the 1 hour. I did have bias towards the downside. Um, there were several things happening. So there was a 15-minute gap, but as I'm keeping track of my notes, I've mentioned before the 15-minute gaps are. I'm gonna keep lowering the probability. I'd want to say like 55% probability that it's gonna fill it. The 1 hour gaps are the ones that are golden. So far, the 1 hour gaps are the ones that get filled. But we had a 15-minute gap, I believe, on Thursday or Friday. And then we had one today that you can see down here didn't get filled. So there was that. In terms of equilibrium, of this equilibrium right here, I also kind of felt like I had downward bias because bearish bias because I figured it would reject off of this and then ooh, this did move up a little. I'm gonna move it up here for tomorrow. Oh, actually it moved up. So let's just go ahead and move this right now. Okay. Um, I kind of felt like it would hit, that rejection area and then come down and fill the gap and then move to the upside. So I was moving with bias. So when we did get confirmation to go to the upside, I was a little bit hesitant, didn't jump in right away the way that I probably could or should have. Um, but yeah, let's just keep it real simple. I mean, this is what we look for. It came up at what time? Let's go back and look. Because I don't see the setup there anymore. But if I remember correctly, it was like right here. We had an internal breakout. I want to say it was like right here. So that's where we had an internal breakout. And I'm learning that as soon as this pops up, the best thing to do is to place your order for $50 and just wait for price to come and fill the order. And then on a day like today, we had one-to-one return. I want to say it was like right around here. Yeah. We had the one-to-one return right here at the this um TP zone. So that's where we had the one-to-one return. And what did I want to say? Yeah, so I jumped in at the contract was like 61 or $62. So I got in up here. I jumped in because I saw that we had a fair value gap and it had already wicked it down. As soon as I jumped in, it came all the way down. And then right here at the bottom, it came down to $48. And then from there, you see it wicked back up. So if we had seen this and done a place a trade for $50, we would have just waited for like maybe 12 minutes, had our orders picked up at 12 minutes, and been able to hit take profit way sooner. Um, so there was that. And then the other thing, wait, I think did I get in here? 648. Yeah, you can watch the live, but so I got out at 20, no, like 30%. Um, Here it was at 101. And then this is just an old line that I had. I think in the future I'll try to just keep the take profit levels, especially if we're going to the downside, because on a day like today, I did call it. I said, you know what, if we're hitting this call zone, we're gonna explode through here. We did get a couple other internal breakouts to the upside, which, if you're holding, would have been influenced for holding more, adding more to your runners. Um, what else? We had like two more bullish internal breakouts. I also talked about how, you look at all the different players when they start adding, when they start making their entries. So, excuse me, you have traders that will jump in take their trade from pivot to pivot level. So sure enough, once we opened above this, we came back down, we tested this pivot level, right down to the T. And then here you see, as soon as we came up here, we had a little bit of take profit. Try to make it break to the upside, and then came back to that call zone, that previously existing call zone, and then continued further to the upside. Let's see. And because we had an internal breakout somewhere around here, you'd have just continued to hold until maybe right here where it opened. Not only did it open below here, it opened below here too. So you'd have probably gotten out somewhere here. And then what is so interesting is this is 8:30. So I would like for my trading community to be done by 8:30. And so sure enough, here you see a little bit of profit takingization. Um, oh, let me tell you real quick. That's what I was pulling up on my phone. I did take pictures of what the contracts were at. So at 254, 254, oh my gosh, 854. When I was at work, I noticed that we were starting to kind of consolidate. And so I was just kind of curious what was happening with that. And so contracts had moved from $50 to 210, and it was at 255.02, 255.02. Yeah, I literally got it. I took the screenshot right here. and then we went into consolidation. And then if you hadn't already gotten out here, um, then you would have gotten out. So, and you notice that this is part of the reason I recommend that you get out is because after 8:30, because you see how small the candles are and the volume is low, there's very little movement here. And so you could have gotten out right here. You know, price opened above, flushed to the downside, and then opened again to the downside. And then, yeah. So I think the biggest thing for me is just again remembering like have a little bit more confidence when the this thing comes up. Part of the reason I was hesitant too is because it was so small. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so sleepy. It was so smally. It was so tiny compared to like other internal breakouts. But I mean, it paid the 1 to 1. Um, and again, it's just setting that. I think the other thing I had bias for was that on Mondays, um, price IWM does like to go to the discount level, which is usually below. But that being said, for those of you who were with me on the live earlier, um, I remember it was like all the way down here. So here was a discount level, here was another discount level, and so we had quite a bit of like support building up here. Um, so yeah, so there's that. Is there anything else I wanted to add? You guys can hear my little Bruno. Let me see here. Okay, so he's really fussy tonight. Okay, so 10:30. You really shouldn't have been in any trades here, but as I was watching it, we did have a lot of influence to the downside. So if you were to get back in like 10:30, you had already started to see the downward momentum. You would have had this internal breakout and an order block, and you'd be opening below the fast EMA. Volume is, for the most part, pretty low, and um, you would have lost your profit pretty much here and just gotten your data chewed. I feel like coming all the way, for this. So, yeah, I'd say from what I just see, could just be out by 8:30. Was there anything else? The strategy thing did not come out. Um, hold on 1 second. All right, so then the other thing I just saw this. So it says, "Oh, a 1 day order block was formed." So this can be a little bit of pre-market analysis for tomorrow. Well, I'm so tired. We have one more day of work, and then they gave us off Wednesday because we're supposed to have like freaking tsunami. No, I'm just kidding. We're supposed to have like 8 inches of rain on Wednesday. I will be live streaming, but I won't be trading past tomorrow. Um, I will be observing it though, so you're welcome to just join along. I won't be taking any trades again until next year, till January 2nd, I believe. So, let's see. So I did get an indicator saying that we had a 1 day order block formed here. So that was market one. And we did enter into that liquidity zone here. What's I gonna say? So yeah, if we open below this, I'm gonna put this like right here. And if we break below this tomorrow, we'll probably come back down and try to hit this 50% level. I'm gonna move stuff around, which is right here in line with this pivot level right here. Because IWM does like to go to 50% of the order blocks. And we are rejecting this liquidity zone here. So and if I'm not mistaken, this is another whole gap right here too, right? Because isn't this is Friday? This is okay. So you have a big gap here that needs to be filled. I don't know why it's not showing up, but I've learned that if the gap indicator is not showing that we have a gap there, then honey, that gap is not there. It's just something about it. All right, guys, I'm gonna go to bed. We do have some support here. VWAP on the 4 hour is kind of flat. Excuse me. But we do have to the upside. See what's happening with the 1 hour. We came back down into the equilibrium, although this did move up. Still moving a little bit. Let's see where it is in the morning. Yeah, we're right at that 50% level. Very interesting. Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, but today was just like a very clean, solid, the internal breakout came out, do the put your order for $50, and wait for it to fill. Try not to have fear of missing out, because I kept seeing price come to 60, 60, 60, and I'm like, I don't know, am I supposed to get in at 60? And so that's why I got in at 62, try to catch that move, because I was like, well, I have gotten in trades at $70, you know. But yeah, sure enough, I got in at 62, and then it was either here or here, and it just tanked, came down to 48. Waited for candle to close, and so we closed above, and then we just never really broke back down below here, and then I just wrote it up, and then I got really nervous. I think part, like I said, because I had bias to the downside, that we were going to fill a gap, and I just didn't want the same thing to happen to me, which I think was like Monday. Let me close this out. So, but part of the problem with that one day where I had a loss, I was going to take profit at $65, which is an IWM. When they trade the strategy, they love 65. From 50 to 65 is a notorious like take profit amount. And so the contract moved to 62, and I held until it completely reversed out. But the thing with that is that we were in a liquidity, the 1 hour liquidity, and I think that if people want to trade during liquidity, then just get your 10%, your 20%. 20% might be pushing it, but if the setup is there, you can kind of scalp that 10%. But I'm trying to move away from scalping. Part of the tragedy is that I didn't get the full, even if I got 1-to-1, that would have been really good for my account. Because when I do have losses, I tend to hold on to those a little bit longer as well. So, but the mantra for this week and last week has been I'm becoming more precise in my execution, and yeah, we're just getting better at precision. All right, you guys, so I'm tired. I will talk to you later. Wow, it's been 20 minutes. I'm gonna go straight to my bed. I will see you guys in the morning. Like I said, tomorrow will be like the last day that I trade. I will be live on Wednesday. I'll be working from home, so I'll be watching the charts. I mean, it's one of those things like if the setup is there, it's there. But trust and believe if I see like liquidity indicators, especially in the 1 hour, just gonna call it an early. And the other thing too, Wednesdays is gonna be a half day, so let's just chill. Let's just enjoy, that quiet time. And then I think look at my calendar. Um, then we go into Christmas, the 26th, the day after Christmas. I don't know. Do you guys want to trade that? I just feel like I'm done for the year. And then I'm probably on the weekend, like the 28th. I'm going to have like a calendar party where we can just sit down and mark our calendars for next year, like mark out all of the holidays and um, bank holidays. So, because I got clapped on on a couple of bank holidays, and I don't want to do that again in 2026. And then we do have the market open 29, 30, 31. I don't know. I'll have to look at the bank holidays. And then, but they say notoriously those that's like the worst week to trade in history. And then we won't trade again until January. I was gonna say 29. Not until that's the first. Maybe Friday the 2nd. Um, January the 5th. All right, you guys. Hmm, interesting. All right, have an amazing night or whatever it is whenever you watch this video. I hope that the breakdown was helpful, and I hope that I was able to convey how simple the strategy really is in terms of just waiting for the internal breakout. Place your order for $50. So it happened here. Place your order for $50. It will come and scoop it up. Set your take profit for a 101, which would have been like at the $1 point, and then you could have left the runners. And understanding the different strategies from pivot level to pivot level, they came right up. Excuse me, right up under here. Had a little bit of take profit, broke to the upside. We built off of this previously existing call zone. We had a confluence come in here for another internal breakout. Could have held a little bit longer, and as soon as it started to be 8:30, start looking for exit. As long as you're staying above the fast DMA, as soon as you break below it, just get out. All right. See you. I will talk to y'all later. Good night. Stream.